Hello, I'm Dow Hunter, and I'd like to welcome you to the Petroleum User Group meeting. It's great to see so many of you joining in from all over the world. Of course, we have a concentration in the U.S. due to the time zones we're presented in, but we have users joining in from South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, Australia, literally every region of the world. We even have someone joining in from Hawaii, Trosmo in northern Norway, and all the way down to New Zealand. It's truly a testament to the value that this community brings. Now, many of you have been to the event before, and for those, I'd like to say welcome back. And for those of you joining for the first time, welcome to the community. I hope you'll join us for many more years to come. Now, as a community, we've been getting together in person for over 30 years, creating some great relationships along the way, and your colleagues and peers have shared their experiences and their successes, genuinely for the betterment of the community. And I know we were looking forward to getting back together. It's important to all of you. It's important for you to learn. We're missing that. We're missing being together, being able to share and learn from one another. It's a challenging environment. You know, many of you are starting to transition back to the office. Some of you are still working from home. In either case, there's distractions, and it does create that challenge to learn. So what I want to ask you today is if you can focus in on these sessions. You know, you might have two monitors open or dealing with kids and pets and things, but close down those extra applications, shut the door, and focus for the next 2 hours in the sessions that you choose to attend. Because this year, it's no different when it comes to your colleagues and peers. They're going to share their experiences. And, you know, as far as the attendance goes and the people attending today, it really reflects that you are representing all aspects of the business. Again, it brings me back to our purpose of being here. It's to listen and learn. Listen and learn from your colleagues and peers as they share those experiences, as they share their visions, they share their strategies, and how they're creating business value in their organizations so that you can understand and create that business value in your own organization. Now, of course, we're going to look at technology trends. We're going to have a look at applications and implementation patterns, all for a greater understanding so that we can continue to strengthen our partnership and collaboration moving forward. Now, Jack was looking forward to coming to the meeting, so I asked him to say a few words. Jack?
Hi, my name is Jack Danjamin, and I get the great pleasure of welcoming all of you to the 2021 PUG conference. This is a special meeting. You know, it's been going on since 1985, and I've attended many of them. Some of you have, maybe not all of them, but it's an amazing community. You guys are special in the sense that you're using and applying GIS to help make your companies do their work better. And GIS has certainly made a major transformational play. It's helped transform, digitize, and literally integrate so much of the petroleum sector's information. I've seen it firsthand, my colleagues have seen it firsthand, and you have seen it firsthand by way of this meeting, and that's the purpose of this meeting. It's to help educate ourselves in what's going on, both in new technologies, but also in methodologies for applying the technology to the entire spectrum of your business. Look, we're going to see some great technology presentations. We're going to see how ArcGIS is evolving to become more of an enterprise platform in a distributed environment, supporting field, supporting high-end analytics, and so on. We're also going to see for the first time that ArcGIS Online is expanding to be able to support imagery in the cloud, so that rather than setting up your own infrastructure, you'll be able to load your imagery into the ArcGIS environment and then be able to exploit it, not just with image processing, but also with advanced raster analytics. It's a really powerful idea that we don't have to do all of that ourselves. And also you'll see the new Velocity technology, which is about real-time streaming of IoT. And what I like about both of these is they're in the cloud, they're available as PaaS, SaaS, and they're completely integrated with the technologies that you're using, whether it's in the desktop or the server on-prem. Also, we're going to be excited to share some of your work, methods, tools, experiences of applying this stuff user, I don't want to say testimonials, but user experiences, because it's through sharing of experiences that we learn so much. It isn't just sort of marketing about tech. That's not what this conference is about. It's about sharing real experienced experiences about what works and what doesn't work, and also where you're having problems with the technology. This is a big learning moment for Esri, so we can take back your ideas or your problems. I mean, this is not a psychological therapy session. We want to hear about your issues with respect to ways that we can do our work better. Esri is organized to support you, our users, and we're anxious to get feedback from you so we can be a better partner to help you do your work. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming to this meeting, and hold on, we're going to see some great things. Bye-bye.
Many of you started your careers in upstream or working on upstream projects. Many of you are in midstream and downstream. And we're going to dig into that this morning and over the next couple days. And what I want you to pay attention to is the breadth of application that's being demonstrated. It is truly remarkable how far we've come. You know, as companies have really begun to realize how important spatial analysis is, not only in upstream and midstream, but it's also important on surface assets such as in refining, real estate, and retail. But what's next? You know, as we diversify into renewables, so many of the workflows are on the surface. And you're going to see GIS professionals applying their skills, maybe skills they learned in upstream or midstream, but they're applying them to those new energy sources across the enterprise and again to these new energy sources. So I really want to reiterate that and put emphasis on it that you as GIS professionals, your skills are so applicable in this new energy space. Now, GIS is also evolving as a technology, and we're going to discuss that. You are leveraging real-time information and IoT data, bringing it into your system as a core component of your system. You're leveraging Arcgis as a complete imagery and remote sensing platform. And we're enhancing our AI and ML tools to act upon that real-time data, to act upon that remote sensing data. Of course, there's numerous other capabilities that we're advancing, and you're going to see those applied to real-world cases. Now, I want to take a second and talk to you about the sessions that we're going to cover today so that you can determine which ones you want to make a priority. In operations, you all are striving for efficiency. You're looking to increase productivity, and you're looking to do it safety. Safety is paramount. Now, Tep Barnett is going to show us through mapping and visualization how they're able to view well performance over time, a really unique way to help support their reservoir engineers. And Apache Corporation is leveraging real-time information with routing capabilities to drive operational efficiency. And Repsol is delivering business value through situational awareness. Now in pipeline, you're looking to modernize that system of record, continue to collaborate across the enterprise, and create additional value. OneOak is going to show us how they're leveraging real-time weather information along with worker location to improve worker safety. In Boardwalk Pipelines, they're leveraging their portal implementation to share location intelligence across the enterprise to various stakeholders. Now in downstream, we're focusing on applying location intelligence across the entire value chain. This includes facilities management, logistics, real estate, and retail. OMV is reinventing planning turnaround in context of their digital twin aspirations. And ExxonMobil is taking a unique and innovative approach to unlock the value of their real estate portfolio. And at the same time, they're tackling offshore decommissioning. And then we're going to hear from Shell about how they're reinventing and expanding their approach to retail. In corporate social responsibility and HSE, you're continuing to put in additional preventative measures. You're enhancing preparedness, and we're all striving for sustainability. Oxy is going to take us on their journey to becoming a carbon neutral company. And in HSE, We're going to look at a couple of examples, one being BP and their efforts to transform from a paper-based response plan to one that's digital. In any case, these organizations are leveraging technology to address today's challenges. And we're going to take a dedicated look at renewables. We're going to look at wind, solar, and geothermal. You'll see many examples, some you may be familiar with and others that you want. You'll hear from Ørsted and how they've pivoted from an E&P company to a completely renewable energy portfolio in just 10 short years. And then you'll hear from Enel and how they're leveraging real-time information with automated processes to increase efficiency. Now, I want to pause here for a second. I talked to you about the sessions. Your work is impressive. It's evidenced by those sessions and the users that are going to present. I want you to take note and look at this screen and the sessions that we have for you today and over the next 2 days. Mark down the ones that are important to you and that you can learn and gain benefit from. I urge you to attend those sessions. Now, GIS is providing us this framework. It's allowing us to manage our data, to map and visualize it, as an example with TEP Barnett. Many of you are analyzing and modeling, planning and design, which ultimately leads to decision making. And with that decision making, it allows you to take effective and swift action. Now, ArcGIS is the technology at the foundation of this. And with ArcGIS, you can create a geospatial infrastructure to support you and your organization. So what is a geospatial infrastructure? It's really just the modern GIS implementation, being able to interconnect distributed geospatial services, disparate services, bring all that information together for a more holistic view. It's also sometimes described as an architecture that supports individuals, it supports teams, departments, and even entire organizations, really to work more effectively. Now, one company that has been building out their geospatial infrastructure for a number of years is BP. In fact, we've had BP join us at PUG before to share that journey, to share how their efforts of using people and process and the effective use of technology and how they support the business. So what I'd like to do today is invite Stephen Badgering from BP to give us an update on that journey. So Stephen, hope you're there and joining us in from London. Appreciate you joining us in today and taking the time.
Absolutely, yeah. Hi, Dal. Happy to be here. Excited to speak to everyone. It's a shame we can't do it in person, but we'll make the most of it.
Absolutely, Stephen. I can't wait. You know, I would much rather be on the stage with you in Houston and the George R. Brown. Like you say, we got to make do. We'll do this video thing and have a conversation. So, Stephen, I think what I'd like to start out, the most obvious place, you know, I talked about GIS deepening and broadening across the enterprise, and this journey and conversation that we have, and the things that you were doing at BP. Can you kind of update us on that journey and where you're at?
Of course, Dal. Yeah. So Geospatial's been around in BP for a long while, like in most oil and gas majors. So our enterprise journey, though, it began in one of our regions, so Lower 48 in 2014. So the value and success was recognized within that region, and at that point, we actually rolled the solution out across a whole upstream in 2015. So this deployment involves desktop, server, and portal components. As you can see on the graphic here, the platforms continued to grow as we've added more functional portals dictated by business demand in a number of different areas. Probably what's most impressive, though, is our growing user base. So you can see along the top of the graphic, it's almost doubled since 2018 when it was 13,000 people, up to 25,000 today, with almost 500 people moving through the platform every day. So we're continuously improving the platform, and we conduct one minor and one major update per year. And our biggest move in the last year has been the migration to the cloud, which has been an immense exercise. As you can probably tell from the sheer number and volume of data and services along the left of the first graphic. The cloud move in particular has opened an exciting new chapter for us, as we've realized huge value from a number of tools, mobile tools in particular.
You know, Stephen, I'm looking at this graphic, and it's really impressive from 2018 to where you are today. And I think about, as I talked earlier, not only deepening and broadening across the organization, but growing and diversifying. And I think it's reflective in your graphics here and your user base. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely, yeah. An important point to make is that our user base has evolved as the platform's evolved. So at this point, we're reaching almost all parts of the business, and the platform approach has really accelerated that. As you can see again on the bottom right, almost half our user base is now from outside upstream. So while we continue to innovate in our more traditional areas like operations, subsurface, major projects and response, we're starting to do a large amount in the retail space, EV charging, and our new reinvent BP model is beginning to accelerate even further as we move towards our net zero ambitions and into renewables and other vectors. I'm also sure many of you have heard about our successful offshore wind bid in the Irish Sea recently, where our Geospatial platform was the critical tool in the application process, as we had multiple BP teams working on the platform, as well as the external joint venture partner. So they're all working off the same set of information, which is really powerful.
You know, Stephen, it's still just amazing to me how many people you support in your organization. You talked about it's up to 25,000 users of the system today of the platform. One thing I think is important probably for the community, because they all want to make access available to their organizations. What are some of the lessons learned along the way that you can share with the audience?
Probably the biggest one, Dale, is just listening to the users. So our users really do come from across the whole spectrum. So we have those people that just want the answer presented to them. So that's where our team of geospatial experts provide support to run analytics, develop geospatial products and solutions. And then there's another type of user who like to get extremely hands-on. And another important lesson we found early on was to promote open data access and keep the platform extremely open. So the second type of user, or citizen developers as we coin them, they have all the tools available to push the limits of the platform all on their own.
You know, this concept, Stephen, of citizen developer, I heard you mention it's opening up access to the data, opening up access to the tools. Can you tell us a little bit more about who is a citizen developer and how do you guys support them?
Absolutely, yeah. So we're always going to have our gold standard checked and verified data that we manage and promote as professionals, but we also let these users create and publish their own data sets and create solutions themselves. So really true citizen developers. We do tie them to some general rules, as you're seeing on the graphic. In terms of tools, they have access to the whole suite, so the ability to publish services, configure dashboards, configure the mobile tools, and all the other extensions that do come with the platform. And this approach has really created a wave of innovation, and you're going to see a great example of this in action with our Gelsenkirchen refinery team, who are going to be presenting later on in the conference.
Awesome. That's awesome, Stephen. I mean, it truly is. One of the things that I heard you mention as well, and I want to dig into a little bit deeper, is not only give them access to data, but tools. And that, in my head, I think about technology. Can you maybe touch on the technology that you may be integrating with, or they're having access to, and then also what's setting you up for the future?
Absolutely. So, I mean, location is just becoming more and more critical to the BP business. So, and with that, our workflows have evolved. So at this point, we're ingesting almost every data type, and OneMap has really become one of BP's strategic data platforms. And with this, we're seeing tighter and tighter integration and of location solutions with our other key data platforms. And this really feeds into the wider BP data strategy, as you can see from the graphic above as well. You mentioned the future. I mean, we constantly have to have one eye on the future. So our workflows have really modernized, and we're really starting to push the technology to meet all the demand that we're seeing. So we're going all in with real time and velocity. We're starting to do a lot in the imagery and imagery analytics space. We're seeing a huge value add there. We're starting to do a lot with geodata science workflows, AI, ML, and we're really excited about Kubernetes, which is coming at 10.9.1. And I suppose I'd wrap up, Dal. I mean, really excited about all of this. Excited to have Esri keep supporting us on this journey with all of the expertise that you have ready and on the bench for us. So, yeah, wanted to finish by saying a big thank you to you guys and the wider Esri team.
Well, thank you, Stephen. Don't run away just yet, because being virtual, right, it's a little bit more difficult. I know if we were in Houston and George R. Brown, right now, you'd be getting a big round of applause. I'm gonna give you a quick one here. I really appreciate you joining in from London today, Stephen, taking time out of your day. I think it's valuable to continue to share with the community. You guys have the journey you've been on, and it's clear, right? The number of users you're supporting in your organization and the diversity of user base now is truly impressive. So thank you again, Stephen. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks, Dale.
All right. Now, Stephen was talking about the evolving technology landscape. He touched on that, right? And that most certainly includes ArcGIS. We're advancing in many new areas. Now, another one that Stephen mentioned on was velocity, and that ties into the real-time visualization and analytics. I know how important this is to you, so I wanted to pull this one out and talk about it myself, because when you think about real-time visualization and analytics, it is about integrating the sensor networks and the IoT data, bringing all that information together. Now, many of you have operation systems in place today, and in those centers, you're ingesting SCADA information, you're bringing in historian data, you're tracking personnel, you're tracking ships and vessels through AIS, bringing in real-time weather feeds, and you're bringing that into this operational view, which effectively allows you to make up-to-date and timely decisions. Now, at Esri, we've been supporting you in this for a while with Enterprise and Geo Event Server, but now we have this capability available through ArcGIS Online and ArcGIS Velocity. So now I'm going to ask my colleague, Matt Ballard, to give us a demonstration. Matt?
In this era of the digital oil field, IoT sensors and other real-time data feeds are supporting remote operations, driving efficiency and reducing operational costs. For example, critical assets are being monitored by SCADA systems. Green dots represent equipment that are operating normally, whereas red indicates an issue that needs to be responded to, such as a meter with high tubing pressure in this case, or high volume tanks in these tank batteries. Vehicle and employee locations are another source of real-time data that can be used to optimize operations. You can know who is where and quickly contact the closest employee to an issue so that you can manage your operations by exception. The challenge is how we consume these diverse streams of data and leverage them to understand and improve operations. ArcGIS includes scalable real-time and big data analytics that can make use of these data streams. You can build automated services to ingest, transform, and analyze data, taking action along the way. With ArcGIS Velocity, you can get started by creating a feed. A feed enables you to connect ArcGIS to IoT systems like cloud platforms and messaging brokers. You connect to the data stream, configure a data model, and then publish a continuous cloud-hosted service that ingests data and lights up your maps with streaming information. But what's really valuable about this is that you can use real-time analytics to synthesize these data streams, weather, employees, assets, and use them to better understand and optimize your operations. For example, you could automatically detect who the nearest employee is to an issue so that you can have them go out there and respond, and you can send them a notification. Or we could be using these well pad boundaries as geofences to determine where our employees are. This analytic is automating the process of determining whether an employee is on-site or traveling. First, we bring in our location feed for our vehicles and our well pad boundaries as geofences. Then we use a series of tools to analyze each event as it arrives. The output is sent to a layer which can be added to my maps and dashboards, and as an email notification, which can be sent to management under certain circumstances. You can put together real-time and big data analytics like these in just a matter of minutes without writing a single line of code. And now in my dashboard, I have an instantaneous perspective into the status of personnel, whether they're on site or traveling, and I can quickly click on them to go show me their current location. Over time, these sources of real-time data can be stored and analyzed to uncover patterns and trends in your data. For example, a fleet of just 100 vehicles every 10 seconds adds up to almost 1 million points every day. ArcGIS Velocity can aggregate these data sets for rapid and dynamic visualization and analysis. Each bin is labeled with the number of points that falls inside of it. And to ensure that our facilities are operating efficiently and safely, we need to make sure that we're visiting them on a regular basis. We can use these GPS tracks to understand when facilities have been visited recently, when they haven't, and use that to better plan work. In this model, we ingest our vehicle GPS data as well as well pads and operating areas, and we determine when a facility was last visited by aggregating it. This spatially aggregated data, we can use it to mark a well pad as visited or not visited and include the date that the visit occurred. This model is also handling several processes though. It's also determining the percentage of sites that are being visited each day to track against goals, using spatial joins, summary statistics, and field calculations, all in a completely automated workflow. These analytics can run once, periodically, such as every minute, or at a reoccurring time, in this case, every night at midnight. The map now informs us of sites that need to be visited. Red ones indicating that they haven't been visited recently and should be at the top of our list to make sure that they're operating safely and effectively. And this chart at the bottom right allows us to track our operational goals. For example, clarifying whether the percentage of sites visited in each operating area is on target or declining. As the digital oil field grows and new sensors come online, operators can be prepared to leverage this data to drive efficiency in operations. With scalable real-time and big data analytics, ArcGIS enables you to apply location to monitor your operations, respond to issues, and generate new insights. Thank you.
Matt, that was really a fantastic demonstration. I love that one because it really shows you the ability to ingest and visualize the information, but also more importantly, right, be able to perform an analytic on it, be able to gain additional insight and then take action. So it's a really great example of real-time visualization and analytics. Now, we're going to continue on the tour. We're going to continue looking at technology and user case stories. And to do that, I'm going to invite my colleague, Brian Boume, to lead us through the rest of the tour. Now, many of you might know Brian. He worked at BP for years. He's been involved in PUG. He recently joined Esri as the industry manager for Petroleum. So, Brian, over to you.
Thank you, Dal. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Happy to be here with you today. I wish we were together in Houston, but maybe next year. For the next piece of the agenda, as Dal said, we're going to talk about some of our work here at Esri, products we're taking forward, and we're focusing on the ones you ask about the most. Along the way on that story, we're going to have some visits from your peers and colleagues who are going to share some value stories and how they're using these tools in their day-to-day work. Working together, we continue to push the technology and science forward. To help organize this journey this morning, we put together this little pipeline map because it is quite the journey. We're going to cover a lot of stuff in a very short time frame. We've done that on purpose because we want to keep you engaged, we want to keep it interesting, and we still want to hit all the topics you ask about. So we'll show this pipeline a few times throughout the morning to help guide us through each stop along the way. Let's get going. First up, I want to reinforce something Jack said, as well as something you heard from Stephen. GIS is now an enterprise system. Many of your companies are deploying it in the same patterns they deploy their other enterprise systems. When you start pushing the technology in that way, you reduce the barriers for startup for all the departments in your organization. This allows you to truly leverage the data resources that you're managing and publishing across so many new workflows. And when you take that next step to kind of opening it up to the citizen developer, even more becomes possible because anybody who's trying to solve a challenge in their part of the business can pick up the services, pick up the technology, and really do amazing things with it. As it starts getting used in this way, it means we need more integration. It means we need more interconnection with the other technologies your company is using. And Esri continues to push the system forward to meet those needs. As we take on these new patterns, we have to follow the changes in the technology capabilities. You're seeing us start to put out the cloud native. You heard Kubernetes from BP. The machine learning and AI capabilities are ever expanding. We're going to talk about many of these this morning and tell you a bit about where we are and where we're headed. These geo-enabled systems are now possible to use the technology and the data within our stack or quickly integrate with other technologies you use day to day. Very exciting times. Of course, as your technology stack evolves and grows, so does your data needs. The new capabilities introduced so far mean we need to support more and more formats: tabular data, real-time data, imagery, unstructured information, 3D, BIM, multi-dimensional. All of this data we need to be able to natively support as much as possible, or through partners like FME, be able to integrate with and bring that data in and push that data back. It's really an impressive set of capabilities when you put together all of these enterprise tools deployed in an enterprise pattern where it's open to all your users and all the data formats we can support along the way. Just think about what you can do with all of that. Or better yet, maybe let's just take a tour and show you some of these things. So I want to step back a little bit, back to where I started in my career, and maybe many of you as well, and that's making maps. Cartography is still key to everything we do in the geospatial world, putting together information. They say an image is worth 1,000 words. I would argue a map is worth 1,000,000. If you get the information presented in the right way, your business can make decisions, gain insights, and do analytics that they may have never thought of before. A key improvement in this area that I'm so excited about is the automated map and chart production. When I was working in the field, we managed huge libraries of offshore navigation charts, and it was a lot of manual processing to make that happen. We're hearing you, and we're adding these improvements to make sure you can produce and manage map libraries like that in a much more efficient way. The Carto improvements don't stop at the desktop. We're doing more and more online. As you guys deploy Portal, as you leverage ArcGIS Online, you want smart mapping on the web. We've brought that forward. What that means is almost anybody in your organization can make a really nice product. And that leverages the data services you've already invested in, the services that you've already made available to serve so many new workflows that may not have happened before when it was hard to get over that kind of making a good presentation. Smart forms are dynamic, they're data-driven cartography, and there's several intelligent defaults that just fit with the data you're trying to show. So it's really exciting to see these enhancements coming both on desktop and on the web for cartography. But enough talking about it, for me at least. We've actually invited John Nelson to come tell you about one more new bit that's pretty exciting. John?
We get to work with maps, which is so fun. A map is a powerful visual connection that bridges all that investment in data and analysis to the people and processes that need it. Making clear and beautiful maps in ArcGIS, I'm excited to say, is easier than ever. I think one of the most exciting new features that enables this sort of adventure is the introduction of blend modes. Blend modes pull in some of the most powerful capabilities of top-tier graphic design tools and make them available directly to map makers right in ArcGIS Pro and the Map Viewer Beta in both ArcGIS Online and Enterprise. Where before we might overlay a semi-transparent hillshade layer and lose a little bit of the richness of our map's colors, now we can use the Multiply blend mode to easily and beautifully weave topography directly into our map and still maintain the richness of the imagery and thematic colors. I say easy, but it's also engaging. Here's a charming and focused map that my 13-year-old daughter Willow made with the Destination Atop blend mode that uses Living Atlas biodiversity hotspots like a cookie cutter to reveal only the vibrant base map below. Base maps are a critical component of our work, and now any one base map can become potentially hundreds of base maps by using the Luminosity blend mode to repaint any base map by that of its background color. And when it comes to data, all sorts of amazing combinations are now possible. This map of broadband accessibility is given a human focus by using a blend mode to visually clip it to only where people actually live. Speaking of where we live, check out this gorgeous Earth at Night imagery from NASA. What better way could we see a portrait of 7.5 billion people? But if we zoom in on population centers, we're effectively looking into a light bulb. The overlay blend mode lets us use these lights to illuminate rather than obscure a rich world imagery base map below. So I've shown you some examples of blending in ArcGIS Pro and online, but there are lots more new tools to help you take your maps to the next level. For example, the new visual effects available in the ArcGIS API for JavaScript, crisp smoke forecast vectors now become wispy and smoothed, more naturally echoing the phenomenon that they represent. Reams and reams of overlapping vessel paths instead coalesce into a glowing and living breadcrumb of travel and commerce. I definitely encourage you to take advantage of the many new and powerful visual tools and techniques available in ArcGIS. Have fun. Make beautiful things. Take back that graphic control and blend up some maps that communicate and inspire.
Thanks, John. That's excellent. These new blend modes are incredible. I can remember working with a rather picky geologist producing gravity and magnetics maps early in my career, and having that to produce the type of legend and colors he wanted would have been amazing. Imagine what you can do that with your pipeline route surveys today, those high resolution data sets you're bringing in. Think of the detail you can pull out in the maps you can produce for your workflow. So what does it take to tackle a project like this? One of the first steps you need to take is getting a good navigable road network. Many of us use commercially available road data sets or maybe public domain data sets, but these often don't include our own private roads, our lease roads, or our roads out to our pads. So using tools to bring this information together and then running analysis on top of that data set with things like network analysts, that's where you really start to get to ask the questions and optimize the routes and be more efficient in how you deploy those resources. We've invited Jay Sandhu to come share some of the capabilities of Network Analyst once you get your roads in shape in this way. Over to you, Jay.
Imagine that you need to organize the workday for a fleet of technicians that need to do a variety of jobs. You need to consider many operational constraints, like the time of day when service is needed, your technician's specialities, vehicle type, and lunch breaks, all while minimizing cost and reducing the number of technicians needed. That's hard, isn't it? Well, efficiency, planning, cost savings are the areas that Network Analyst helps within the petroleum industry. It provides transportation and logistics solutions to help make your field workers more efficient. Network Analyst can find the quickest route and provide directions to your field technicians around oil fields on roads most suited for their vehicle type. If you have multiple locations to visit, then it can find the best way to visit those locations. It can also model both drop-offs and pickups, such as hauling salt water for disposal or transporting oil from a site to a tanker. A real-time sensor in the field sends an alarm. With Network Analyst, you can find and route the closest resource with the right skills and tools to address it. Another capability is to help create service territories. That is, determine the areas that you can reach in 1 hour from a dispatch location. You can also use it to help find a set of locations that optimally serve as warehouses or service stations. Network Analyst with a ready-to-use street network data available from Esri called ArcGIS Street Map Premium. You can incorporate your own leased roads into this routable street network. This street data can then be put on a mobile device and used with our Navigator app for routing. You can also pre-plan your routes on the desktop or use the logistics services in the cloud and send them to your technician's Navigator app. And the Network Analyst Runtime SDK can help create custom routing apps. So to conclude, Network Analyst helps you better plan work for your fleet, improve customer satisfaction, and generate more revenue by reducing operating costs associated with the gasoline and vehicle maintenance. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Bringing together your own road data with other sources and then leveraging tools like network analysts to start to ask questions of that data opens up such an amazing amount of opportunities for innovation and improvement in your company's field workflows. Once you have all this data in place, it doesn't just stop with network analysis. What's the next step? Well, that next step, that's where the mobile tools come in. Esri provides a robust collection of native mobile apps that are ready to use with your data and services right now. Some of these apps perform specific functions like Navigator to get in-car directions to a location, or Workforce, which allows you to assign tasks and manage field workers, or Tracker, which allows you to track, well, just about anything. Others are more generic. Data capture tools like Collector, Survey123, or one of my favorites, Quick Capture, which allows very quick data entry out in the field. If you're doing inspections in a plane or a car, and you're quickly grabbing information as you're driving along. We've heard from some of you that you wish some of these functions were together in the same app. Enter our newest mobile app offer, ArcGIS Field Maps. ArcGIS Field Maps brings together Collector, Explorer, and Tracker into one tool to allow you to go out and run those combined workflows in the field. Really exciting with this product. It's already had some enhancements, and we've asked Demaya to come and share some of those latest functions with us today. Demaya?
There's some exciting news. You asked for an all-in-one field app, and it's finally here. ArcGIS Field Maps is a new mobile app that combines the functions of 3 apps you already know and love: Collector, Tracker, and Explorer. With the functions of 3 apps wrapped into one, Field Maps is your go-to mobile mapping app. Let's look at a few of the new tools and features available with Field Maps. First, with Field Maps, you can fill out smart forms. Smart forms are adaptive digital forms. One major adaptive feature of smart forms is conditional visibility. With this feature, you can make certain form fields conditional, meaning they only appear when a user inputs a certain value into the form. Smart forms are also easily customizable, so you can configure and edit smart forms based on your workflows. For example, smart forms can be customized with grouping. This feature allows you to place smart form fields in groups or common sections. Field Maps also supports location tracking. Tracking creates a breadcrumb trail of your tracks, or the locations you have previously been. ArcGIS Field Maps continues the evolution of Tracker, allowing you to see your tracks and giving you the option to see the tracks of your coworkers. Field Maps also has many new tracking features. For instance, in Field Maps, you can set the duration of your tracks, meaning you can set how long location tracking is turned on. Tracks in Field Maps also contains data, like speed or altitude, so you can see the movement and performance of your mobile workers. Finally, the Field Maps web app is a new web-based tool that allows you to manage your maps for the field. In the web app, you can prepare and configure the maps workers will use for fieldwork. You also prepare the templates and smart forms mobile workers will use to collect data. The Field Maps web app is also the go-to place for enabling maps for offline use and creating offline map areas, so workers can use their map anywhere with or without a data connection. These are a few of the awesome new features available with Field Maps.
Thanks, Demaya. I think it's important to underscore here that Survey123 is still the go-to app for forms-based data capture. We don't see that changing anytime soon. Another important point I would like to make is that the web-based apps that you're making in Explorer, or ArcGIS Online and Portal, these are responsive web apps, and they will adapt to most mobile devices and screen sizes. So you can use those apps in the field as well. Just remember, those does require connectivity, whereas the native apps, many of them can work in offline mode. What's the next field app that you are going to build? I'm just curious what workflows you're going to take to the field. Let's take a quick peek back at our journey pipeline here. We are about a third of the way through now. The next section here, we're going to talk a bit about pipelines. And I've asked Jeff Allen to take us through this next couple of stops. He's going to start with a brief update on pipeline trends and then introduce our next speaker from ONEOK. Over to you, Jeff.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, everybody. Welcome to the PUG. My name is Jeff Allen. I want to give you a quick update of what we're doing in the pipeline industry. So a lot of interesting things have been going on the last year, 2 years with APR and integration of the utility network. That's probably one of the single largest topics that I get asked about on a daily basis is how are these new Esri editing tools fitting into the Esri landscape? And really when we start talking to customers about this, it kind of comes down to a couple different decision points. Most everybody wants to modernize their GIS and integrate with a single enterprise geodatabase. There's plenty of legacy systems out there that are still using 1, 2, 3 different databases to store their pipeline data. And getting all this information into a single enterprise geodatabase makes it much easier to share this information out with the rest of the organization. So really every organization is sort of asking us that first question. Now, once we understand that they want to be an enterprise geodatabase, then the next real question is, do you want to use out-of-the-box Esri tools to edit that data, or do you want to still use a partner application? Still a very viable workflow. And for customers who want to use out-of-the-box Esri editing tools, we support that. We support both the linear referencing model and now the connected model. So we can model in that single enterprise geodatabase both stationed and non-stationed pipe. Once we look at whether you want to use Esri editing tools or a partner application, then we dive a little deeper into data models. Right now, Esri fully supports both the UPDM data model and the PODS data model with both the connected and linear referencing models. So there's lots of options here to mix and match as you start thinking about the next phase of your GIS. One of the companies that has really embraced this idea of modernizing their GIS is OneOak. OneOak's been on a journey of combining multiple enterprise geodatabases with different editing tools, consolidating them down into a single enterprise geodatabase, and standardizing on the utility network with Arcgis pipeline referencing. And I'm really happy to have Tammy Hall, who's an IT manager at GIS from OneOak, with us today. And she's going to explain a little bit more about what they're doing in their project at OneOak.
Hi, my name is Tammy Hall, and I am the IT manager for OneOak's GIS team. I am here in front of the beautiful OneOak Boathouse located at Gathering Place in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Before I talk about the exciting project that the GIS team is working on, I'd like to tell you a tiny bit about OneOak. We are a leading midstream service provider and own one of the nation's premier natural gas liquid systems. We currently have 3 systems, one each for our natural gas liquids, NGL, natural gas pipeline, NGP, and natural gas gathering and processing, NGGP, business segments. Over the past few years, the GIS team has worked diligently to streamline processes and tools to a more manageable support model. We eliminated tools that were difficult or impossible to pull data into GIS. We replaced applications where functionality for field use was not flexible, and we built out a very robust GIS system with data from our 3 business segments, along with third-party data to support our customer needs. So one of the first challenges that we were faced with was how do we take 3 very different databases and merge them into one, make one enterprise. We engaged Esri very early in the process, and they've been an excellent partner throughout this in helping guide us through the decision-making process where APR is concerned and where our utility network is concerned. It's very cutting edge for us as a company to be able to do this and implement this. Some additional benefits that we feel like we are going to gain by having one enterprise database is that we will be able to very easily integrate with other systems across our organization. We will be able to implement applications very quickly. One of the biggest benefits that we are going to realize shortly after implementation is having the connectivity within all of our assets. During this process of data cleanup and trying to get this data in place, and this has allowed us to really clean up and make our data more meaningful and have a lot more confidence in what we're doing today. And we're happy to sit down and talk to anybody who's willing to ask us the questions and willing to learn the road that we've taken so far. I mean, we've had to go through COVID, We've had to navigate through market downturn. We've had a lot of just kind of hurdles to overcome, but we've done a really good job, and I feel like we're in a great place with this project so far.
Thanks, Tammy. Really impressed with all the hard work that you and your team at ONEOK are doing to really modernize your system of record and move your investment in GIS forward. So let's talk now a little bit about what happens after that investment is made. How are companies now leveraging that new enterprise geodatabase and turning that into value for the organization?
But really what it comes down to is once we have that data in the core Esri model, once we're sitting in that information model that supports both linear referencing and connected networks, then we can really do some interesting things with sharing that information out to the rest of the organization, whether that be through ArcGIS Online or your own hosted portal. We can make that information available to the rest of the organization. We can then share that with field workers, allow them to do data collection in the field, allow them to do tracing and network modeling in the field, and then bring those results back into the office. Other workflows that people are really interested in these days beyond mobility are field logistics. How do these people in the field move around, whether that be workers or whether it be trucking terminals or other modes of transportation that you might have that have a logistics spin to it? We can now support those workflows in Enterprise GIS as well. And then finally, lots of questions about imagery, whether that's captured from aerial photography, terrestrial drone data, or even captured by field crews. How do we integrate that messaging and that data into the Enterprise Geodatabase and share that imagery out as well? Another big topic that we'll be talking about. So I hope you find this session very informative and look forward to talking to you more in detail. Thanks.
Thank you, Jeff and Tammy. What a great update on the trends in the pipeline space and an incredible journey story from Tammy. Remember, she offered to meet with anyone to share their learnings and experiences in their project. I really encourage you to take her up on it. This is what makes the PUG community so amazing. These different companies willing to share what they've learned, what they've tried, what worked, and maybe what didn't work so well. When I think about real-time data we heard about this morning, together with connected field workflows, together with a system of record for your assets, I start to think about digital twin. Digital twins are emerging across all the markets we support, from smart cities to intelligent utilities to digital buildings. And in the energy space, we see it in digital oil fields, subsea remote operations, intelligent refineries, and many more. Digital twins can be almost of anything, any asset or process that you can model, interact with, and visualize digitally. I believe location is critical to just about every digital twin, because if you're going to truly replicate the real world conditions that you're trying to model with your twin, you're going to need to model and interact with the world around it. Whether it's how hot weather is affecting your LNG plant performance, or how maintenance crews are moving across the field while certain work is going on, or even products moving across your supply chain. Location matters, and the analytics you need along location help feed your digital twin and make your experience that much better. We see several technology trends that are helping to drive these twin efforts. First, it's more and more satellites. They're going up faster than ever before. Before, a single rocket would carry up a single satellite, which took years to plan and millions to build. This latest SpaceX mission launched 60 small sats just a few weeks ago on one rocket. So many satellites up there, so many new sensors being deployed. We also see a massive increase in drone deployments. High-res data collection, new sensoring type. You can get LiDAR on your drone now and get sub-centimeter type measurements. This is producing so much more data. The new sensors and the changing regulations are just allowing this to rapidly expand. This increasing volume in data is driving more requirements for that cloud-native architecture. To be able to efficiently manage that much data and economically store it and process it and analyze it, you're using cloud-native architectures to meet that need. And when you get that much data, all of a sudden AI and ML becomes way more tempting, because you need to be able to process and work through that data with a computer to really gain the insights. If you throw in IoT and edge compute capabilities, you throw in all the foundational layers, both 2D and 3D that you already have, you're really starting to move towards a digital twin, but that data is coming from all of these different sources. We need to be able to pull that together for you. And one area that we think is really important to do that is imagery. So Esri is a truly comprehensive imagery system. We've added several new tools over the past several years, and we basically have everything you need to support all the content you may come across from different sensors, different acquisition formats, different platforms, different modalities. You can combine all these together with third-party data, partner data, living atlas data, and produce services to meet your business need that can be consumed in any application stack. Your internal content, you manage that inside the image management tools. You serve that out as services. It feeds your map production needs. It feeds your analytic needs. And it also allows you to exploit that data and really drive more insights and gain more information from your imagery portfolio. ArcGIS is a comprehensive imagery and remote sensing platform, and we do provide end-to-end workflows from the drones in the field to your AI ML workflows on the resulting data sets. To support all of this imagery space, we have to support many more formats. We have 150 plus formats now, 75 plus raster types, and support, again, for just about any platform or modality you can imagine. All this together with partners like FME, I think it would be quite difficult to find a format you can't get to with this platform. Probably a key one to zero in on is drones. We've talked about it earlier. You heard it from Jeff. Several customers are asking, how do we manage all this information we're starting to collect with our drone campaigns? And for that, Esri has actually brought two products to market. As you scale up these capabilities, you start flying more drones, the data processing, the analytics, the archiving of the data, it becomes quite a sizable task. Flight planning, the production of the consumable services, it's a tremendous amount of effort. So on the desktop, we've had drone to map out there for quite some time. A pretty simple workflow to process your imagery, create your consumable services, manage your flight plans. It's a powerful tool. But we've heard customers tell us they literally have dozens and dozens of drones now and many pilots, and they're collecting data on a daily basis. To scale up to that size, we've introduced a new product called SiteScan for ArcGIS. This is a team that joined Esri last year, and SiteScan provides an end-to-end cloud-based or SaaS workflow for integrating perhaps the largest of drone programs into your regular operations. SiteScan allows you to manage everything end-to-end, from your equipment itself and your pilots to the data and planning to producing the 2D and 3D services that are going to come off of that data. It all happens in the cloud, and it all results in services that you can use almost immediately in ArcGIS Pro or Esri Online or any other tools that can consume those map services. Really exciting product for a very fast-growing part of our business. We want to share a few of the latest enhancements with this tool, so we've asked Jeremiah Johnson to join us and share that detail. Jeremiah?
Hi, I'm Jeremiah Johnson, an imagery solutions architect here at Esri. I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about some of the enhancements we've been working on with SiteScan for ArcGIS, our cloud-based product that provides an end-to-end workflow for drone flight planning, data acquisition, image processing, and image information dissemination. With an iPad app to plan and execute the flights in the field, and a web application for viewing and analyzing the data processed in the cloud, SiteScan is a simple data pipeline that automates your drone operations. The first enhancement is a new flight mode, Corridor Scan. With Corridor Scan, you can define a corridor or right-of-way by simply dragging new vertices on the map. Define the corridor width, and SiteScan will automatically add new flight lines to ensure there is enough side lap to accurately map the area. Next up is Terrain Follow. We've leveraged Esri's global elevation service to provide flight altitude offsets for waypoints across the mission, including the flights to and from the takeoff location. While flying, the drone will automatically fly the designated height above ground level, climbing and descending when needed. Of course, all of this elevation data is also available to be downloaded locally to the iPad for use in the field without an internet connection. What's really revolutionary is combining these two new features to allow terrain follow corridor scans. In this example, planning an automated flight over this electric transmission line would be close to impossible to do effectively. However, with these new tools, it is as simple as the pilot defining the corridor, turning on terrain, and swiping to take off. Up until now, I've been talking about capturing still images from the sky. But what about video? A third enhancement is the automatic logging of what we call geospatial video logs. The logs include the drone's location, heading, and gimbal information stored alongside video time. These logs are created to be dropped right into Esri's video multiplexer in the image analysis toolbar to create geospatially aware videos. The result is the video playing alongside the map with the moving drone location and even field of view of the camera at that specific point of the video. Lastly, I want to tease an unreleased feature that we're excited to get in your hands later this quarter. In working with our customers, we realized that when scaling a drone program within their organizations, everyone had a different way of recording and monitoring the status of the drone hardware and the pilots that operated them. That's why we've completely redesigned fleet management within SiteScan for ArcGIS. This new redesign gives a whole new dashboard accessible to administrators with a snapshot of all drone and pilot activity for the organization. Every flight flown with SiteScan is automatically recorded here. Vehicle, camera, and even battery information is logged for every flight along with the pilot that flew the mission. Additionally, information like drone insurance, registration, and maintenance are logged complete with expiration dates and attachments. The same for pilots under the organization. Keep track of pilot currency and certification expiration right here, all in one place. And that's all the time I have today to share some of the exciting things happening within the SiteScan product. Keep an eye on our ArcGIS blog for future updates and more details of the features I've shown today. Thanks.
Thank you, Jeremiah. Some pretty cool tools there, and I think they're going to add tremendous value with the companies that are deploying large drone programs. We're working with a few companies already to really tune the system for their requirements, and if that's of interest to your company, I encourage you to reach out because we're actively looking for more organizations that are running scaled out and regularized programs to provide more feedback into our development cycle, because working together with you produces a better product. Based on the feedback we have already, we're continuing to invest in the imagery across the portfolio. Precision mapping and reality capture, that's where you see the new Sure for ArcGIS products show up. Observations and spatial patterns, that's where you see a lot of energy in the GeoAI space. And remote monitoring and inspections, which are bringing more tools forward to support your daily workflows. Great amount of work going on in this space. Getting imagery useful to your end users as fast as possible is a key target for us. We're going to jump over to our journey pipeline again and see we're a little over halfway through. We've talked about infrastructure, we've talked about real time, we've talked about imagery, we've talked about drones. All of this coming together is starting to make a digital twin of your operations. The next stop in our journey is with someone who really benefits about having all of that data in place. Data services ready to go, system in place, and that's your emergency response team. We hope we never need them, but if we do, we need them ready to respond, and we need them to have access to the data and systems they need to answer any challenge we may throw at them. It gives me great pleasure to welcome that next speaker, Brad Pakinski, who's with BP. He's the Global Response Manager, and he's going to share a bit about how GIS enables BP to better prepare, better respond, and better communicate in the face of emergencies with their enterprise GIS. Let's take a look at the short video Brad made for us last week. Brad?
Well, we've got our appropriate incident management team vest on, off to our briefing for our simulated emergency today. We'll be getting a briefing from our situation unit leader who, with the help of the GIS tools, will provide a very comprehensive view of what's occurring at the scene. Hi, my name is Brad Bazinski. I'm the Global Response Manager for BP. It's a pleasure to be speaking today a little bit about GIS and how we use it for emergency response from the front line all the way to the executive conference room. From a preparedness standpoint, one of the most common ways we use GIS is to import data about response resources. For our fixed assets, this includes everything from fire apparatus to oil spill response equipment. And that may include not only our own, but our neighbors in terms of mutual aid, third-party contractors, all the resources that may be available at a time of a response. A quick example of using GIS for response that was a bit atypical was during Hurricane Harvey. As you know, the greater Houston area was significantly impacted by flooding during Hurricane Harvey. BP stood up an incident management team just outside Chicago. Embedded within our incident management team is our GIS team. Our GIS team was able to show the dexterity of the system during this response. They quickly built an app that we were able to get to our responders on the ground in Houston. We then engaged a third-party contractor. Over the days and weeks that followed, we were able to manage the third-party contractor, getting to our employees' homes, tracking the resources that were available, and making sure that our employees got back on their feet at their homes. It's a great example of using the GIS tools to support a response in an alternative way. And of course, from a response perspective with the current pandemic, we continue to utilize our GIS system on a daily basis for response. Layering in public data with respect to states and countries in terms of number of cases of COVID that are occurring, vaccinations that are being provided, countries that are open and closed, as well as our own in-house data. The GIS system and the GIS mapping allow us to stay on top of what's occurring around the world. A few final thoughts in closing around GIS when it comes to emergency response and crisis management. For us, I think there's a couple things that come into play here that are exceedingly important. First is having the platform in place in advance. We're able to preload data. We're able to have the system up and running in a moment's notice. The second key component for us in a response is having our GIS team members engaged in our teams and engaged in that response so that those experts can take advantage of using that data and presenting all of that data to the responders in such a way that we can be highly effective in terms of our response. So thanks for the opportunity to share a little bit about GIS and emergency response and crisis management as we utilize it within BP.
Thank you, Brad. For me, Brad's video really helps reinforce the premise that Stephen helped make earlier this morning, is that geospatial infrastructure is really a vital enterprise resource, and not only for response situations, but for everyday operations. If you're trying to build a system in the middle of a response, you may be too late. You need to have those systems up and running, those data services in place, and those analytics being used for everyday use. Then your business as usual system is ready to go with the right data at the right time, just in case that emergency bell sounds. And you really never know what type of emergency it might be. You might be responding to a ship collision. You might be responding to a pipeline rupture. You may have a refinery fire, or something like a regional flood or global pandemic that you just heard Brad talk about. You really have no idea what you're walking into until you get there. And you need to have that map ready to go in that first 5 minutes to understand the source of the problem and any potential receptors that you need to be worried about as that situation unfolds. We think about having these systems ready to go as geo-enabled systems. Esri is actually bringing a few different targeted geospatial enabled systems for its products. One of those is GeoPlanner, used for urban planning organizations. Another one may be business analysts, for those doing retail or demographic work. We don't have time to talk about those in detail, but I do want to talk a bit about Indoors and Mission. Both of these tools allow you to better respond to a response like we just heard Brad talk about, but also help support day-to-day operations. Indoors is probably what you guessed. It's really about deploying GIS capabilities inside the building. It supports the management of all the data about your building, but it also gives you facility operations tools, space management tools, and even a series of occupant experience type things like routing, which Harvard is actually using, or workplace reservation, visitor kiosk, and wayfinding. All of these have actually been quite valuable during social distancing as we return to the workplace. Inside the building, it also offers device tracking, which uses a bunch of different ways to actually triangulate a person in the building. If you think about that from a safety and security perspective, that is crucial to a response. Brad is often saying, I want to know what I don't know. So if there's 1,000 people in the building and I know 950 made it out, at least I'm only looking for 50, and instead of not knowing how many I'm looking for. So huge benefits to the safety world. Mission takes that a step further. This is really a powerful tool about managing a real-world response. It's about tactical awareness and collaboration, linking people together as they're working in the field, people at the headquarters running a fire or a rescue disaster with the people that are actually in the field in teams, collecting information, understanding what's going on the ground. It enables GeoChat and peer-to-peer communication in limited communication areas. It supports the planning, the monitoring, and then replay afterwards for either regulatory reasons or just improvement. How did we do in this situation? It's really a robust tool born out of Esri's experience in several responses around the world. We've asked Darren Pudston to come talk to us a bit about this and share some of the latest enhancements in this platform. Darren?
I'm excited to share Arcgis Mission, new software from Esri designed to raise the level of situational awareness within your team. Mission helps to quickly establish command and control by organizing and managing your teams and resources, whether you're responding to a planned event or dealing with unplanned circumstances. Just imagine a scenario where there's an incident along a pipeline and you need to quickly coordinate response activities, including getting those resources rolled out and communicating that response across the organization. This is where Mission comes in, enabling you to take control and assign the resources you need for situational awareness and communication. These resources include personnel, documents, and a common map to visualize and interact with the participants. And I know it's challenging to know where your teams are at all times, but with Arcgis Mission, you can visualize the movement on a map and coordinate crews based on real-time events. Mission managers have eyes on team members at all times, including their connection status and even the battery lives on their phones. Managers see their team's locations, track their movements, and communicate with each of them through messaging, tasking, and reporting. However, Mission goes a step further. It keeps your teams connected with persistent communication so that teams can share locations and collaborate in those on-again, off-again network environments. And once crews are in the field and engaged in the active missions, their connection status, their movement, and communication are all tracked and logged. This is important information, and it is visible to teams on their mobile devices as well as on the screens back at the incident command post. And as you know, things move very quickly in the field, and new technology from Mission allows collaboration to happen in near real time. So teams can quickly chat using text or communicate spatially using simple geometry. As an all-in-one solution, Mission expedites the handling of these events by removing the need from the use of multiple apps during operations. And you can be confident that all the movement and communication are securely stored in ArcGIS and becomes a system of record. Beyond the operation itself, though, analyzing the incident is just as important. This requires piecing together bits of information for a comprehensive view. And Mission has this capability built in and extends it to those who need to pay close attention and provide guidance during an incident. The dashboards within Mission provide insightful views of mission data, allowing supervisors and senior leadership to monitor events and activities. And as all part of the ArcGIS ecosystem, you get to leverage all that mission data to gain insight, increase transparency, and build trust within your team. With ArcGIS Mission, you have one single solution for planning, execution, and the review of incidents.
Thank you, Darren. I could think of several response scenarios that I've been on around the world where this would have been hugely beneficial to have. Information flowing seamlessly across all your teams in the field and back to the IC managing the situation. As I mentioned earlier, this tool came out of Esri's experience in responding to emergencies all over the place, and it's now available as an integrated system capability that you can take and use within your own business. We have more information on this and a demo on the resources page. Be sure to check that out. Think of that resources page this week as almost like your virtual vendor booth. You can go in and learn more about each of the products we talk about in each session. Next up, we're going to talk data. Data is important to your enterprise GIS, and it's absolutely crucial for a response. ArcGIS includes an enormous amount of ready-to-use content, and this is literally growing day by day. This information is available as services for you to use right now in Pro or in the web for supporting any type of workflow you can imagine. The improvements we're making, information like land cover, weather information, rich biodiversity data, air quality, all types of temporal-based information data sets, and even the integration of the OpenStreetMap environment. All of these data sets can be used behind your own corporate data to help support your information. This is useful for your day-to-day operations, but absolutely critical for emergency response, where you may be responding in an area that you don't have day-to-day operations. Maybe it was a vessel collision outside of areas you have a lot of traffic, or maybe it was an accident down the road, but it's affecting one of your pipelines or access to one of your facilities. So this information is crucial to get that view of what's going on without you having to manage that data yourself. There's a couple of additional data sets I'd like to call out, which are made by people here in our own PUG community. Several agencies are releasing the data sets that they're creating and managing on our behalf. Fantastic maps and services like NREL in Golden, Colorado, or the National Energy Laboratory, Technology Lab, or the Northeast Ocean Data Portal, who's actually speaking later this week. And some really great map services coming from the UK Oil and Gas Authority. I'd like to draw your attention to a specific offering here on the left. This is from the US Energy Atlas by EIA. They're using the new Esri Hub technology to make these valuable services available right away. All of this data can be consumed and used today within the Esri platform, and really any system that can support the open web services. Really exciting to bring this information forward. We're going to check in again on our journey map here. You can see we're in the last quarter now. Exciting to share all of these stories with you. So we just talked about data, and now that we have all this data, what's the next step? Start to tell your story. And one of the tools we have to tell your story is story maps. Story maps are an amazing way to get a very complex set of information in front of any audience. And these are so popular. There's literally over 1 million of these in ArcGIS Online, with 3,000 new ones being made every day. With story maps, you can add multimedia, you can add images, text, even embed apps and dashboards, whatever it takes to give the full story of what you're trying to share with your users. It's really exciting to see the innovations in this space, and we've actually asked Ashley Dew to join us to share a bit more about that. Ashley?
Connecting digitally is now more important than ever, and we've seen oil and gas organizations using ArcGIS Story Maps to do just that. ArcGIS Story Maps is a user-friendly storytelling tool that helps improve communication with the public and within your organization. By combining maps with text, images, and multimedia content, you can bring your reports, presentations, and stories to life. I'm excited to share with you the ways you can utilize ArcGIS Story Maps to help with branding, sharing your story, and displaying your data. Whether you're in a board meeting, out in the field, or with a stakeholder, you can improve understanding of any topic by sharing a story. You can use story maps to create sleek presentations to share anytime, anywhere, and on any device, with also combining related stories and other ArcGIS Online items in collections. You can now also build and share your stories behind your firewall with ArcGIS Story Maps in Enterprise. Stories can help you transform your workflows by making your data easily available through embedded surveys and asset inspections. From the office to the field, you can also update your team on projects and urgent issues with a few clicks of a button. Maintaining consistent branding is crucial to building awareness and connecting with internal stakeholders. To achieve a consistent look and feel for every story across your organization, you can use the Theme Builder. You can create and apply a theme to all of your stories. This gives you control of many elements, such as colors, logos, block styles, and hundreds of fonts to choose from. When you update a theme, it automatically applies to all stories using that theme. This saves you and your organization time and helps everyone stay on brand. With Arcgis Story Maps, you can display your data in a variety of ways. Showcase a set of related photos in a stylish image gallery, easily embed apps like dashboards, Survey123, or insights into stories. There are many ways to elegantly arrange your media and your maps, but my favorite way is through a map tour. Map tours can be created by uploading photos from your phone or by connecting to Survey123 results of the field. Simply drag and drop all of your photos and they automatically appear on the map. Or you can connect to a feature layer with a data-driven map tour. This creates a storytelling journey for your readers to navigate from place to place. With capabilities from Theme Builder to Map Tour, Arcgis Story Maps will help strengthen your branding, effectively display your data, and provide a lasting impact for your audience.
Thank you, Ashley. Story maps are very cool, and they're being used for all sorts of topics. If you haven't already tried it, try building one for your next vacation or road trip. Give that a try, and before you know it, you'll be using them all over your business. One thing we used to do with them was outline our exploration options. It allowed us to quickly go through and compare many different options all in one place. Great tool for communicating up to management. Another way to tell stories is embedding your maps in other enterprise tools you may already be using in your organization. Esri works with several partners, Autodesk, Adobe, Microsoft, and many others, to give you a more seamless experience with integrating your maps in these environments. I wish I had time to go into all the developments with Autodesk and Adobe, so it's really cool stuff. But today we only have time to focus on Microsoft. We already have integrations with Office, SharePoint, Power BI, and we have some new capabilities coming soon for Microsoft Teams. Today, we're going to really focus in on Power BI. The Power BI tool has evolved so much over the last few years. We continue to improve on this integration with every release. In August, we added formatting tools, we added GeoSearch service, and support for smart maps. With our most recent release, which was just a couple of months ago, we now allow you to publish your Power BI report, your maps to the Power BI report server. Viewers can now change base maps when they're interacting with your products. And we've introduced a new layered join capability, which allows you to link spatial data with non-spatial data and then drive your charts and graphs from the map. Really exciting development there. And probably the most exciting to share with you, now ArcGIS for Power BI can be used with your existing ArcGIS user types. No additional licenses needed. So get out there, start combining your maps and apps and charts and graphs, and really get information out there to your users. To see a bit more of this, we've actually asked Andrew to come in and share some details on this integration with Power BI and a few other things we have going on with Microsoft. Andrew.
At Esri, we've been working hard on our ArcGIS for Microsoft 365 integrations. The products that we integrate with so far include Office, SharePoint, Power BI, and Microsoft Teams. In December of 2020, we did a significant release to ArcGIS for Power BI. By popular demand, we added the support for your data that contains a lat long, or XY, to be embedded in reports within another website, or you can take those reports and publish those to the web, meaning they're publicly accessible for everyone. Now, with that release, we also included another great feature where you can add in layers from ArcGIS Online, and you can join data from Power BI to these layers based on a common attribute. Now, as you interact with the layer selection tool and you select different pieces of geometry, it will drive the charts and other visuals within your BI report. Last but not least in this release, we also made a significant change to the licensing model. We no longer require an add-on license, and now ArcGIS for Power BI is available for all ArcGIS users that have a Creator Plus, meaning Creator or GIS user type account, to go ahead and design reports. If it contains any private data, viewer or higher can go ahead and access that private data. Now, I mentioned in some of the other products that we have in the 365 product suite, And we're really excited for what's coming this summer. We have a major overhaul of the Office and SharePoint products that have a united interface that will look and act very similar to what you're used to using with ArcGIS for Power BI. And also too, we have another product set to release very soon in the spring, which is going to be ArcGIS for Teams. And this will enable your organization to use their Microsoft 365 accounts with the ArcGIS visualization capabilities and analytics directly within their Microsoft clients. And once they go ahead and make their maps or publish some data, this same content can be shared out and now becomes discoverable through Microsoft Teams. And we're not done yet. People often ask, how can we go ahead and do a lot of custom behaviors connecting to different data sources or triggering events based on APIs? Well, one of the things the Power Platform team has been working on is extending our capabilities to go ahead and work with Power Automate and Power Apps. This will allow you to go ahead and set triggers based on conditions in your data within Power BI, within Microsoft Office, or with any other system out there. And we can go ahead and trigger events, write data to hosted services, write data back into Power BI, and really give you a chance to customize the behaviors and automate the day-to-day tasks that you need to do in order to get your job done.
Thank you, Andrew, for the update on the embedded capabilities with Microsoft. I know several folks that are very excited about the Power BI enhancements and licensing changes. Looking at data in so many interesting ways, all these charts and graphs and maps, it reminds me to mention a bit on spatial analytics and data science. ArcGIS is basically a data science system. It's a core competency of what we have. There's over 2,000 tools in the ArcGIS stack that support data engineering, visualization, and exploration. There's so much to mention. We can't go through it all, but there's two that I'm excited about that I want to share. Look up the suitability modeler, which has new interactive and dynamic user experience, and also the predictive modeling capabilities that have been used extensively in the COVID response. Both of these tools are just really incredible, but there's so many more out there you can go look at. We're also continuing our work in AI and ML space on very big spatial data sets. This is creating new and exciting ideas and new and exciting understanding from these data sets. As we invest in this space, we're further embedding AI and ML and deep learning into our core technology. We're making these tools much more readily accessible, easier to use, combining spatial data with temporal data. So basically, you can go in and interact with this information any way you want to. We're even releasing pre-trained models that's going to ease the introduction to starting to use these capabilities. Data science, it's not just about automating processes, it's also about making your system smarter. This is offering up so many opportunities for innovation. I want to talk a little bit on notebooks because a lot of our data science customers, they love Jupyter Notebooks. And you know, we put this into ArcGIS Enterprise last year with the introduction of the ArcGIS Notebook Server. I'm excited to share this summer, we're adding Jupyter Notebooks to ArcGIS Pro and also releasing a Jupyter Notebook extension for ArcGIS Online. So we're not done investing in AI and ML. These capabilities are part of the entire Esri stack. It includes many of the Python libraries available in Esri, but also opens up the world to hundreds more open libraries that you can use in this data science ecosystem. Really exciting innovation becomes possible. So we have talked about a lot of topics. The technology updates never end. As you've seen this morning, we're working on so many products, bringing new capabilities forward. And really what's next for us is to continue on this path, continue working with you, leveraging your feedback, and together we will improve ArcGIS. As you can see here, many areas are being worked on. Some of the standouts, Kubernetes, continued AI and ML investment, and introduction of graph databases. Be sure to watch this space. So I've spent the last hour sharing with you all kinds of changes in our technology. I'm actually going to hand it back to Dal now, who's going to discuss a bit more about changes in our industry. Dal?
It's clear, you know, that was a fantastic tour. Went through a lot of technology use cases, and it's evidence that GIS is broadening and deepening across the enterprise. Now, earlier as well, I mentioned about the growing into and diversifying into different areas. And so I want to pick up there with a couple more use cases and really in the renewable space. And I want to start out with one from Shell Energy Retail and have Tony Battle talk about their approach to the energy transition. Tony?
Hello, my name is Tony Battle and I am the CIO of Shell Energy Retail, which is part of Shell's renewable energy systems business. My role in Shell Energy Retail currently is to facilitate the transition of this company and this business in the UK and Germany around ensuring that we truly focus on customer centricity in providing renewable energy. And location is absolutely at the core of that. We need to understand where our customers live so that we can go and visit them, so that we can install meters. We need to understand the region in which they live in terms of being able to provide valuable energy solutions at the right price. And we need to be able to provide the right kind of services to them as per their expectations. And we need to be quick to market. But because we're part of the bigger Shell group, we also need to be able to consider how we can offer wider services and solutions that are based on location and based on demographic. And to that point, this is absolutely a data-driven activity. So the energy transition is fundamentally a data-driven activity. We need to ensure that we have the right data about our customers. We need to have the right data about location. We need to have the right data about requirements and needs. And myself as a data practitioner, I fundamentally believe that data is our lifeblood in terms of being able to offer true customer centricity. And in the renewables energy business, we're right at the frontier of defining what it is that we need to do with our data, how we store it, how we manage it, how we utilize it. And I firmly believe, being in a retail business, that location is critical to us achieving successes. So like many businesses, we truly need to understand what the needs and the trends and the behaviours our customers are in order that we can offer the right services. So as a Shell customer, as well as a Shell employee, I consume energy at home, but I also consume energy on the road, be it electric, be it diesel, be it petrol. I also consume other things whilst I'm out. I might go for a coffee, I might want food whilst I'm on the road. And it's important that we as a company understand how we join all that data together to add value. And fundamentally, location is core at the centre of all of that. As I, as a customer, move around, as all of our customers move around, we need to ensure that we can provide the right offerings and the right services that are based on what we understand about our customers, but fundamentally where they are in the world at that given moment in time. I'm really happy to be here at the PUG today, and hopefully I can add some value and provide some greater insights into how we utilise data at the cutting edge of the energy transition in Shell and why location is important. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. I think it was really great how Tony really put the emphasis on the value and importance of location and data to the transition to the renewables energy space. You can clearly tell he talks about it a lot and how fundamental location is moving forward. Now I want to continue with the renewables theme with Enel Green Power and how they're accelerating in the energy transition. Enel has been unlocking the power of their data, integrating systems, and really providing access to the whole enterprise. So let's hear from Enel Green Power and Keith Aubin. Keith?
Hello, I'm Keith Aubin from Enel North America. I'm the chapter leader of Enel's Geographical Information Platform. Enel began in Italy as an energy utility over 50 years ago, but today we are not the company we once were. Enel is a multinational player in the global power, gas, and renewables markets. With a dedicated focus, we are accelerating the energy transition through decarbonization and electrification. Enel is the world's largest private operator of renewables. Through our renewable energy business line, Enel Green Power, we operate over 49 gigawatts of capacity globally, including over 6 gigawatts in the US and Canada, across wind, solar, and geothermal technologies. The global pandemic has changed the way we operate, but it has not slowed us down. 2020 was our biggest year yet, and we're just getting started. We plan to triple our renewable capacity globally by 2030. To facilitate our ambitious growth strategy, Enel is prioritizing platforms in digitalization. We need to move faster, unlock the full potential of our data, and create new business and operating models. This requires us to rethink solutions development, moving away from siloed platforms to integration by design. We are embracing access to data democratized across the whole organization, with no duplication of entry points. Our relationship with Esri has enabled us to provide access to GIS solutions enterprise-wide. ArcGIS allows us to be agile and support a new architectural paradigm of IT as a platform. We are pursuing the development of value-added solutions based on a common platform with a higher level of standardization. Esri's ArcGIS Enterprise platform, with tools like GeoEvent Server, enables us to make full use of Enel's IT platform. This approach enables holistic workflows where lightning strikes can be detected in real time, correlated to operating conditions, and work orders auto-generated for maintenance activities. To manage an ever-growing fleet of power plants, we need state-of-the-art digital tools. Today, advanced suitability models with integrated GIS workflows support siting and development of our new projects. The latest satellite and drone technologies, coupled with computer vision, support our construction projects. And our operation and maintenance teams are leveraging enterprise GIS with mobile applications to become a fully digital workforce. Simply put, GIS is essential to how we operate, and ArcGIS is our platform.
Well, thanks, Keith. I hope that inspires you. I know that really inspires me. Keith and the team there at Enel, they're doing fantastic work, really growing GIS and again, expanding it across the enterprise, supporting all their users. Now, it's been a great morning. You've seen a lot of technology. You've heard it from a lot of your peers as they shared their examples. But before we wrap up this session, I'd like you to hear from your PUG chairperson, Andrew Norris. I'd like to have him say a few words. Andrew?
Hello, thank you, Esri, for kicking this off, and thank you all for coming from the PUG Steering Committee. Sorry we can't be in person. We've all seen a lot of change in the past year, and we continue to adapt to the challenges at hand. The virtual nature of how we are able to continue this conference is different, and we all look forward to a day soon when we can continue some part of it in person. That being said, we are not letting it slow us down after almost 30 years of putting on this conference. We are excited about the content that you're about to see, and we hope you enjoy hearing more from your peers across the energy industry. The PUG committee is here to support you, and we are looking for new ways to strengthen this network. If you have not done so, please reach out to your regional chapters and join or get involved. We have added many roles to the steering committee this past year from each chapter with the goal of creating those synergies. PUG Hub is a great resource for all things PUG. You can learn about your local chapters, get more information about membership, dive into geospatial workflows. That's an area that we're looking to expand. And the showcase that you're seeing this week is a good example of all the great things that the community is doing. So please reach out and see where there's areas that you'd want to jump in and provide some more involvement. And lastly, even for the broader community, from a professional discipline and salary survey. If you haven't participated, we ask that you go out, fill out the survey as we continue to gather that information about our community and how we're growing and changing as a skill. This conference is about you and the community, and we really appreciate those of you bringing your stories forward for the week. It's the sharing of these stories that make this such a strong community, and we know it's going to be great. Thanks again to Esri and the PUG Steering Committee for your efforts supporting the community.
Thanks, Andrew. And as Andrew mentioned, this event is genuinely about you. It's about the community. Again, we have people joining in from all over the world. It's great to have all you here. Hearing about the great work that you're doing, it really inspires all of us. So I want to urge you again to please take the time and join the sessions that we have set out for you this week. We have operations this afternoon. We have pipeline and downstream, CSR and HSE and renewables as well. Please pick out those ones that you can join into. You know, we had a few technical difficulties at the beginning when we kicked off this live event. So apologize for that, but we will be making the recording live as soon as possible. So in case you missed anything, you can go in and watch the recording. And I want to thank you again for joining in. You know, it is a live event, but for me personally, I look forward to being back in Houston in person with you next year. So thank you again.